China's rise as a global power has posed a major challenge to the EU and its allies in the Pacific and beyond. In recent years, China has expanded its economic, military, and technological influence across the Indo-Pacific region, often at the expense of the interests and values of the EU and its partners. China has also engaged in aggressive and coercive actions against its neighbors, such as building artificial islands in the South China Sea, violating the sovereignty of Taiwan and Hong Kong, and imposing economic sanctions on Australia. To counter China's growing clout and deter its malign behavior, the EU has been retooling its alliances with Europe and the Indo-Pacific to collectively respond to this challenge. The EU has sought to strengthen its existing alliances with Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines, as well as forge new partnerships with India, Vietnam, Indonesia, and others. The EU has also enhanced its security cooperation with these allies and partners through joint exercises, arms sales, intelligence sharing, and capacity building. One of the most significant examples of this retooling effort is the recent announcement of a new trilateral security partnership between the EU, Australia, and the UK, known as AUKUS. This partnership will provide Australia with nuclear-powered submarines and advanced technology to boost its naval capabilities and deter China's maritime expansion. AUKUS also signals a deeper involvement of the UK in the Indo-Pacific region, as well as a closer alignment of the EU and Australia on China policy. Another example is the revival of the Quadrilateral Security Dialogue, or Quad, which brings together the EU, Japan, India, and Australia to coordinate their policies and actions on regional issues such as maritime security, infrastructure development, climate change, and pandemic response. The Quad leaders held their first-ever summit in March 2021 and pledged to uphold a free and open Indo-Pacific based on democratic values and respect for international law. The EU has also been reaching out to Europe to enlist its support for its Indo-Pacific strategy. The EU has welcomed the EU's adoption of its own Indo-Pacific strategy in September 2021, which commits European nations to deeper engagement at all levels in the region. The EU has also encouraged European countries to increase their presence and participation in regional forums and initiatives, such as the ASEAN Regional Forum, the Asia-Europe Meeting, and the Belt and Road Initiative. However, retooling America's alliances to manage the China challenge is not without difficulties and dilemmas. The EU faces resistance from some of its allies who are reluctant to confront China or risk their economic ties with Beijing. For instance, South Korea has been cautious about joining the Quad or endorsing a strong stance on Taiwan for fear of provoking China's ire. Similarly, some European countries have been hesitant to take sides in the EU-China rivalry or criticize China's human rights violations for fear of losing access to its lucrative market. The EU also faces competition from China, which has been using its economic leverage and diplomatic charm to woo or coerce its allies and partners. China has offered loans, investments, trade deals, and vaccines to countries in the Indo-Pacific region as part of its Belt and Road Initiative and Health Silk Road. China has also tried to undermine or split America's alliances by imposing sanctions on Australia, threatening Japan over Taiwan, courting India with border talks, and enticing Europe with a comprehensive agreement on investment. Therefore, retooling America's alliances to manage the China challenge requires not only enhancing their military capabilities and interoperability but also addressing their economic vulnerabilities and political differences. The EU needs to work with its allies and partners to diversify their trade and supply chains away from China's dependence, promote alternative sources of infrastructure financing and development, uphold common standards on human rights, democracy, and rule of law, and foster a shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific that can accommodate China's legitimate interests without compromising their own. The United States is taking various steps to reduce its dependence on China's supply chain and become an alliance maker rather than an alliance breaker in the Pacific region. Here are some of the main strategies that the EU is pursuing, imposing tariffs and sanctions on Chinese imports and exports. The EU has imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars worth of Chinese goods since 2018, aiming to reduce the trade deficit and pressure China to change its unfair trade practices. The EU has also sanctioned Chinese companies and officials for human rights violations, cyber attacks, and military activities in the South China Sea and Taiwan Strait. These measures have increased the costs and risks of doing business with China for EU firms and consumers. Diversifying sourcing of critical goods and inputs from other countries. The EU has realized the vulnerability of relying on China for essential products such as medical supplies, semiconductors, rare earth metals, and telecommunications equipment. The EU is seeking to diversify its sourcing of these critical goods and inputs from other countries, especially its allies and partners in the Indo-Pacific region. For example, the EU has joined the Quad, a strategic grouping of Australia, India, Japan, and the EU, to launch a joint initiative to boost vaccine production and distribution in the region. The EU has also signed a deal with Taiwan to establish a working group to strengthen cooperation on supply chain security and resilience, investing in domestic production and innovation capabilities. The EU is also investing in its own domestic production and innovation capabilities to reduce its dependence on China and enhance its competitiveness in key sectors such as biotechnology, artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and clean energy. The EU has passed legislation to provide funding and incentives for research and development, infrastructure, manufacturing, education, and workforce development in these areas. The EU has also established a new office within the White House to coordinate federal efforts on supply chain policy, strengthening alliances and partnerships with like-minded countries in the region. The EU is also working to strengthen its alliances and partnerships with like-minded countries in the Indo-Pacific region that share its values and interests in maintaining a free and open order based on international law and norms. The EU is enhancing its security cooperation with allies such as Japan, South Korea, Australia, and the Philippines, as well as partners such as India, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Singapore. The EU is also supporting regional initiatives such as the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, Outlook on the Indo-Pacific, the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation, APEC, and the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership, CPTPP. By pursuing these strategies, the EU is reducing its dependence on China's supply chain and becoming an alliance maker rather than an alliance breaker in the Pacific region. The EU is also demonstrating its commitment and leadership in addressing the common challenges and opportunities that face the region in the 21st century. The United States has a long history of involvement in the Pacific region, dating back to the aftermath of World War II, when it became the administering authority of the Trust Territory of the Pacific Islands under a United Nations mandate. The Trust Territory included what are now known as the Freely Associated States of the Northern Pacific, Palau, the Marshall Islands, and Micronesia. These three island nations have since gained their sovereignty and established special agreements with the United States called Compacts of Free Association. Under these compacts, the United States provides economic assistance and defense protection to the FAS, and in return, it enjoys exclusive military access and strategic denial rights over their vast territorial waters, which span much of the northern Pacific Ocean. The compacts reflect the common desire of the United States and the FAS to maintain a close and mutually beneficial relationship that supports their economic development, security, and self-reliance. However, in recent years, this relationship has faced new challenges from China's growing influence and presence in the region. China has been pursuing various diplomatic, economic, and military initiatives to expand its footprint and leverage in the Pacific, often undermining the interests and values of the United States and its allies. China's activities in the FAS pose a particular threat to the EU strategic interests and objectives in the Indo-Pacific region, as they could erode the U.S. defense posture, access, and partnerships that are vital for maintaining peace and stability. To counter China's influence and protect its interests in the FAS, the United States has been taking several steps to strengthen its support and engagement with these island nations. These include renewing and extending the compacts of free association with each FAS country to ensure long-term U.S. defense rights and obligations, as well as continued economic assistance and cooperation. Increasing U.S. diplomatic presence and outreach in the FAS to enhance bilateral relations, address common challenges, and promote shared values and principles. Providing additional security assistance and capacity building to the FAS to help them improve their maritime domain awareness, law enforcement, disaster response, and resilience. Expanding U.S. development assistance and investment in the FAS to support their infrastructure, health, education, energy, environment, and governance needs. Encouraging greater involvement and coordination with U.S. allies and partners in the region, such as Australia, Japan, New Zealand, Taiwan, and others, to leverage their resources and expertise to assist the FAS. Supporting the FAS participation and leadership in regional and international forums and organizations, such as the Pacific Islands Forum, the United Nations, and others, to amplify their voice and influence on issues of mutual concern. Through these efforts, the United States aims to demonstrate its enduring commitment and partnership with the FAS, as well as its respect for their sovereignty and aspirations. The United States also hopes to deter China from engaging in any coercive or destabilizing actions that could undermine the security and stability of the FAS or the broader Pacific region. By supporting the FAS' freely associated status with the United States is also advancing its own strategic interests and values in the Indo-Pacific region.